Okay, what's up guys? So today we're gonna talk a bit about the thumb flick. If you don't know what the thumb flick is, it's basically when you're shooting with two hands, right? And this thumb right here pushes the ball like this. And after you shoot, it basically looks like this, where the thumb pushes the ball forward and both of your hands are facing towards the basket, right? So to get rid of this, we need to understand why it happens, right? So first of all, the reason it happens is because your body feels like you're not strong enough to get the ball to the basket from the mid-range or like the three-point line. So what your body is going to do and your mind is it's going to force you to push the ball and shoot with two hands, right? If you have a thumb flick, you're basically shooting the ball with two hands. And this happens to usually like a lot of beginners and a lot of kids because they don't understand like what the proper way to shoot is. Another reason this happens is it could be just because your form is wrong or like your mechanics are like a little bit off, right? So maybe you're placing the ball wrong. Maybe the ball is not on the side. Maybe your guide hand is not on the side of the ball and your shooting hand is like facing each other. Maybe your placement is wrong. Maybe you have to fix your placement. Maybe you're not using your legs to shoot the ball when you're at the three-point line, right? And these are some mechanics that you essentially need to get rid of and fix as quickly as you possibly can. And today we're going to talk about how to fix the thumb flick and help you understand how to actually shoot the ball with one hand. So one way that we can fix this is basically kind of mentally and thinking about what our hands, like our shooting hand and what our guide hand should be doing as we're releasing and as we're finishing the release. So essentially, if a player thinks about how they're releasing, if they release from here, from their shot pocket, and they're releasing just like this, like some players, when they release, both of their hands, this guide hand and their shooting hand, it's going up like this, right? And that's like the incorrect way. When we're releasing, we want to mentally think about our shooting hand taking the ball away from our guide hand, right? So my left hand is my guide hand right here. So with my shooting hand, which is my right hand, I'm taking the ball away from my guide hand, right? Which is my left hand. And this is basically what you're supposed to do, right? When shooting a basketball, we want to shoot with only one hand, and we can achieve this by placing the guide hand on the side of the ball and just taking this ball away from our guide hand while we're releasing. Essentially, this guide hand is going to stay after you get to your shot pocket. From here, it's not going to go up, it's not going to go down, it's just going to stay right here, and the ball is going to leave this guide hand by using our shooting hand, which goes up and towards the basket, which is basically what the release is, right? So mentally, I want you guys to think about to shoot with one hand, right? Think about shooting with one hand. And so think about leaving this guide hand just like here at the whole time as you're releasing, right? So let's say you get the ball, you're about to shoot, right? You get to your shot pocket from here, leave your guide hand right here and release. And essentially, that's going to help you make sure that you're shooting with one hand, and it's going to get rid of the thumb flick right here. Because the reason this thumb flick exists is because you're shooting with two hands at the same time, versus right here, we're shooting with one hand and we're keeping our guide hand here the whole time. And we're taking this ball away from the guide hand, okay? I want you to think about that. Take the ball away from your guide hand so that we are ensuring that you are shooting with only one hand. Along with that tip that I just gave you, I want to add a different tip, which is basically going to help you make sure that you're actually shooting with one hand. And this is also about the mental aspect of shooting. So I've made a video on this before. If you want to watch it, you can watch it, where I go more in depth into it. But to achieve shooting with one hand, I want you guys to think about shooting up and towards the basket, right? A lot of players, when they shoot straight and towards the basket, which is very flat. If you notice, when I'm shooting straight and towards the basket, you can notice how my shooting hand is like right below my eyes, and it's right around my nose level, versus when I'm shooting up and towards the basket, it's right at my eye level or it's above my head. And that right there is what we want to do, right? So in order to achieve that, you can basically think about shooting up and towards the basket, as I previously mentioned. And that's just like a mental cue for you to make sure that you're shooting with one hand. Because when you think about shooting up, you're basically thinking about taking the ball up and away from this guide hand, right? You're thinking about taking the ball up and away from this guide hand, which is essentially what we want to get rid of the thumb flick, right? So the next time you shoot, think about shooting up and towards the basket, right? Versus straight towards the basket, which was like, it kind of forces you to like take your guide hand to the basket, right? So right here, if I shoot straight, it's like I'm giving both of my hands. You see how my guide hand just goes towards the basket for me to keep the balance, for me to have a good grip on the ball. Versus if I'm thinking about shooting up, I can keep this guide hand here while also taking the ball away from my guide hand and making sure that I shoot with one hand the whole time during my release, right? So think about shooting up and towards the basket, and this is gonna make sure that you're shooting with one hand, and it's gonna make sure that this thumb flick, or like you using your left hand to shoot the ball, shooting the ball with two hands, that's all just gonna go away if you're mentally aware of it happening and you mentally know how to fix it, right? So next time you shoot, think about shooting up and towards the basket.